Hello and welcome to Succeed with Consciousness Coaching video interview series. My name is Violeta Plišakova. I am Creative Consciousness Director of Marketing, Brand and Communications, as well as lead trainer. And I'm bringing to you an interview series with consciousness coaches who have built successful businesses and are here today to share with you what they love about coaching, how they build a business, how to become an outstanding coach and take your practice to next level. And it is an honor to interview today consciousness coach, performance coach Eric Michot from Cape Town, actually originally from France. And you will hear his delightful accent. So Eric is coming live on this interview from Cape Town. He has a very interesting story of how he became a coach, and he has also very valuable success tips for us today. So Eric, let me start by asking you, what do you love about coaching?
Thank you. So what I love about coaching is basically provides me with an opportunity to be present to what is here and now. I find it a direct gateway to that space, which is happening right here, right now, which is the only place we are ever being. And so coaching provides me with that opportunity to actually connect with that essence.
Mm-hmm. Mm. And what do you love about consciousness coaching? Why have you chosen consciousness coaching as the training method?
All right. Well, great question. So the reason I actually chose it, in terms of evolution, I would say, conscious evolution, there is the conditioning, the script, and I found consciousness coaching to be a really effective way to language the script.
Mm.
And I find it to be a very powerful entry point that I took myself and I take my client to in order to really language that conditioning, in order to own it properly. From there, transformation can take place. Because awareness is power and awareness is transformation. So languaging what we believe we are first is a very good starting point for me.
Yeah, it is. I do find that consciousness coaching is quite unique in how it works with creation, how it works with language, how it works with those unseen patterns in our clients' mind and internal system.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me, how did you build your coaching practice, and what is actually your story? So you've done the coach training, and then what?
And then I was looking for clients.
As everyone, yes. And so how did that go for you?
Well, it was quite challenging initially because there I had the skill and I was already looking for clients while waiting for my exams. So I was quite eager to make it a career and obviously making a job out of it. So making a revenue from that. So I needed clients in order to generate that revenue. So the way I went around it first was basically I had no strategy really. I just went out there, did my thing, meet people, talk about it, etc., etc. And it was not really successful in the sense that I realized very quickly that a very effective way for me to get into the game was to actually access platform in organizations that are already using coaching. So instead of creating a market, my strategy was to infiltrate an existing market, which has proven to be a really good strategy because obviously the people I was speaking to, mostly HR directors or CEOs and stuff, already have the language, they knew about coaching, they already had encounters with coaches, which not always very good, by the way. So that actually was kind of a roadblock.
Okay, and then you come in and show them how it's done.
Yeah, pretty much. And in fact, my first gig, right, was pretty much free. So I know we got from the consciousness coaching school itself, we mustn't coach for free, blah, 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 all those things. And then I was confronted with that opportunity where 60 people from the organization I was contacted with needed to be completing their experience relative to an existing project. So, but the HR person didn't want to pay for it, blah, 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 blah. So I struck a deal. I said, okay, cool. So I'm going to coach those 60 people to completion. providing that I get the outcome you are looking for, so we have to establish the outcome, you actually hire me as an internal coach for your company. And she agreed to the deal. I did the 60 coaching. It went very well. And I'm to date still the resident coach for that organization, which is the one and only Cape Town.
Oh, wow. That's a very impressive story. I think what we can take away from here is be bold and be daring. You definitely put yourself on the line there. And second, provide value. Yeah.
Indeed, that's really what the success is about, to be honest. That's what I pretty much attribute my success to, is to deliver whatever outcome the clients want, and more. Because obviously whatever outcomes they usually set themselves is relative to their existing position, which is informed by challenges or resistance. So having that met, plus expanding on possibilities now, which conscious coaching is very useful for. So you connect to possibilities. And so when they connect to that and really access that extra freedom, it's sold. So they refer, they recommend. It's just, there's a momentum that happens on its own. And yeah, it's like, it's about delivering whatever the client wants and expand on their conditioned space to make them aware of other things they were not aware, and supporting them to walk that path and just expand on their self and connect to what really matters to them.
I'm curious now, how do you make sure that you deliver this amazing value to your clients, and how do you make sure that they achieve their goals?
Beautiful. So great question. So obviously you basically have to identify what is the cycle objective, right? So what is the target? What are the clients want? What do they want? So that on paper, obviously measurable at least. If you get some evaluation stuff before, that's pretty cool. If you don't, that's fine. So you can also just stick to the clients where they are at. But establishing what is the objective clear by, and basically get the client to commit to it, obviously using the power of the words distinction that we have in conscious coaching. So commit to it. And then you just have to basically be available to what is, which is one of my quality, I suppose, that supports as well my success in terms of nothing is wrong, right? It's just basically to get out of the way and to be present to what is for the client and ask questions such that the client can see what they need to see in order to shift. Because it's very much about awareness, right? Awareness is power and transformation. So even if nothing comes out of, like no doing, just the realization of what is transformation. So providing this for the client is basically the nugget.
Oh, wow. I find that very powerful. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's going to be very valuable for new coaches and anyone who considers to become a coach, because I notice so often people get so lost in tools. And consciousness coaching is very simple. There is just one protocol, one process to follow, and some additional tools and awareness creations. You don't need to think and be in your head about what to say and what to do, because there is this map, right? And then you have more space for your coach being to come out. Then you can be present for the client and just hold that space. And then they can feel more received and more connected with you.
That is the challenge. That is actually the challenge, because, we also have a script. We also have a condition thinking informed by core values, So that is basically what we are invited in consciousness coaching to own. So again, here awareness is power. So if I'm aware of my conditions, or if I'm aware of my shadows, or if I'm aware of my shortcomings, or if I'm aware of all those things, that gives me an edge relative to who I am being. So initially, I wanted to transform this. Initially, I wanted to kind of like reach an ideal. I had a story in my head that where I was operating from was just not enough. And I needed to step out and up my game and be that kind of like, idealistic person that I created in my mind. But now with my experience, I realized that no, I don't have to do at all. I can actually simply be whoever I'm being right here, right now. And that's also something very powerful for young coaches or new coaches, because sometimes we are conditioning ourselves into a behavior, or we are conditioning ourselves into a goal or result that we are committing to, which is wonderful. However, sometimes it's not aligned with who we actually energetically are about. So then you would go and condition that as well. But what do you get from conditioning yourself? to a conditioned outcome, what do you think you get as a result?
Yeah, of course, it's inauthentic.
And you get more condition.
Yeah.
So whatever you do from that point of conditioning yourself to an outcome, you will create or generate, even invent more condition. And that is true for your clients as well,
Yes.
right? So it becomes a vicious circle
Mm-hmm.
about like forcing myself into being something in order to connect to something else to get an outcome. So that's all in my head. It's basically informed by the script,
Mm-hmm.
which lead to a very powerful realization, which I had a while back, which was actually acceptance to what is.
Mm-hmm.
So to the degree I'm going to surrender completely to where I am at,
Mm-hmm.
where the client is at, outcome or no outcome, to the degree I'm going to basically connect with that reality, and that's where the magic happens. All we have to do is being love, unconditional, to
Mm-hmm.
that space. The good and the bad, because that's all judgment in our head anyway. So it's all conditioning again. So if we can just accept that, surrender to it, we now enter a space which is beautiful, which is basically creation. So creation comes from being, acceptance to what is, not a conditioned state.
Wow. Thank you for this powerful insight and great perspective.
Thank
And
you.
do you think that relates also to, let's say, considering to become a coach or making first baby steps? Sometimes coaches get frustrated at that it's not happening as quickly as they would want to, or they get challenging clients who are mirroring their own shadows and fears. So, how can we relate this acceptance and presence and accepting that we are enough to those times when it gets really tricky or challenging in our coaching business or coach training?
Mm. Well, just to go right back from what you started to say about entering the coaching journey. So, you know, we come from the perspective, oh, I am choosing to be a coach now.
Mm-hmm.
However, consider the possibility that what if coaching chooses you,
I love it.
right? What if there is some kind of a
Mm-hmm.
thing inside ourselves that seeks to express itself and to manifest into the real world, conditional world?
Mm-hmm.
And that actually obviously provides you with a lot of space, because if I'm chosen by my higher self to fulfill a task, then all I have to do is really show up for it. So I also realize then whatever mental position I may have towards my reality is a very biased reality. It's a very limited, conditioned version of what I'm reading from the reality. So again, if I accept that to be so, then here I am available to the bigger picture. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not coaching, coaching does me. I'm not enrolling, enrollment does me. I'm not living, life does me.
Oh wow, yeah, I so agree with you, and I do see that great coaches, great trainers, and transformational leaders, in a way, they did not choose the path; they were called.
There we go.
And do you think, yeah, why do you think it is so that so many people are called to step into coaching profession nowadays? Because it's also one of the factors that sometimes stops people from even going for coach training. They think, oh, there are so many coaches out there. How am I ever going to be noticed? How will I stand out in the market? Is it even worth it?
Yeah, beautiful. So all those questions come from a conditioned perspective. So it's like I want to tell the universe what's good for me.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm suggesting here is like stop telling the universe what's good for me and just allow the universe to unfold what is available for me. And being a coach or being a spiritual seeker, not seeker, being a spiritual person or all the above, it's a calling.
Mm-hmm.
And coaching is just another language, just another form of that realization to higher self.
Mm-hmm.
So really, again, there it's like if it's wonderful, life will come. Or when you coach, life will come with challenges, and that's wonderful because they are signposts, right? It helps me basically to relate to my experience in a very intimate and very valuable way when I realize, okay, now I'm having a breakdown, or I'm feeling insecure, or I notion I'm not good enough, and so forth. All those things are just signposts from which I can actually now inspire my action to it. it is not who I am. It is just a fixed position that my conditioned self bonds to in order for me to realize it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a painful thing. It's basically, well, it can be painful if my relationship to it is like, oh my God, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But if I just look at the relationship or the context, like we have in conscious coaching,
Mm-hmm.
then I can look at that as well and transform my context to the resistance that I may experience. And suddenly realize it's just a signpost from there. What can I do? What am I choosing to do in response to that? And that leads me and whoever is with me to where we need to be. And there's no ways I can tell what it is in my mind. I can think, I can guess it, I can wish, I can do all sort of things, but also I don't want to be attached to that. Or simply surrender to, okay, where are we going? And just enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride, really. So everyone who is listening to this, please know you did not choose coaching. Coaching chose you. So don't let yourself get used by your mind, by your conditioning, by your fears. Say yes to the calling and accept the challenges as stepping stones and signposts on your journey.
Yeah. And say yes to the signposts and the challenges too.
Say yes to that. So it's a beautiful, beautiful perspective. And I know you have some interesting tips for success in coaching, and some of them have to do with values. Am I right? Because you showed me your key points and key takeaways.
Right.
Can you share more about that?
So basically, values. So you will notice that we do certain things effortlessly. Certain things nobody asks us to do. Certain things we just always have the energy for. Certain things we just spend the money in. And those basically are connecting to our highest values. So when my actions are in line with my highest values, I find myself in inspired state. I find myself connected to what is. I'm inspired and I'm just in flow relative to those highest value. When I'm not, then that's where frustration, procrastination, resistance, all those things comes into play. Which on that note leads to a very nice direction I want to take here. So consider if I'm making goals relative to my lower values, right? So imagine enrolling clients for my business now is where I struggle. So imagine like I'm procrastinating, frustrated, and I'm making goals. Okay, I'm going to enroll 5 clients, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. No, that's going to be providing with a lot of pain and challenges, because what if it's not according to my highest value, is my lowest value, so I'm not going to get to my outcome, because obviously I'm not naturally inclined to do so. So it's going to be a struggle. I'm going to use a lot of willpower, a lot of doing, a lot of like conditioned speaking, lots of goal settings, very rigid, which is going to give me an outcome, sure. However, it's going to be also coming at a cost, because there's a judgment there. So it's going to be creating shadows. But anyway, without going there now, but providing, so connecting goals or commitments to highest values, done deal. So on one hand, when I connect my goals to highest value items, I am going to achieve this. My self-esteem goes up. My interaction with life goes up. I mean, yes. But when I'm committing to lower values items, I'm it's gonna affect my performance. My self-esteem is gonna drop, and so forth and so forth. So it's going to be a slippery slope to nowhere land, breakdowns, and so forth. So to avoid this, what we can do, what I'm offering here as a tool, it's quite simple. Identify your highest values. So certain question you can ask yourself: what do you spend your money on? What do you always find energy for? What do you spend most your time doing? You know, and you write it all down, and then you actually create next to it, like what does those things represent to you? So that gives you a highest values. And now if you find that enrolling clients is not with my highest values, but coaching is, so the question would be, so the creating the link goes as follows: so how would enrolling clients support my highest value of coaching others? And the goal is to basically rewire, reconditioning my brain by answering 30 to 50 answers.
Wow.
How would enrolling clients supports my highest value. And when I do that, I basically rewire my brain. And guess what? I effortlessly go into enroll people because now I'm in service of my highest value. So therefore I'm inspired, I'm in flow, everything seems to be working, my self-esteem goes up, and I'm just having a good time.
So you are doing a lot of work on yourself, are you?
That's the whole idea. I mean, that's being your product, right? To use Mark Steinberg inquiry, which is a very powerful one. I'm being what I'm being already. Whatever I'm going to do is doing, sure, fine. But I'm already being now. So whatever I'm experiencing in terms of reality is a direct feedback to who I am being. So if I find resistance in terms of enrolling, that's simply a signpost telling me, okay, what's my resistance in me? So all I have to do is look at it. And in terms of the value, then realize, okay, it's lower value. Obviously, I'm going to procrastinate and frustrate. So I need to link it to my highest value such that I can be in motion effortlessly. And it works very powerfully.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you for sharing this tool with us. So I think,
Pleasure.
coaches, this is something that you can do if you have resistance to enrolling clients. And let's shift gears a little bit and get real practical. So
Cool.
how does a typical day in the life of a performance coach like yourself look like, if there is a typical day? So give us a little bit of an inside sneak peek view into the life of a coach.
Cool. So for me, I get up at 4:30 in the morning. I meditate for half an hour. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
4:30 in the morning. I meditate for an hour. I go to gym for an hour. I come back. I do my things. I clean up and all that. I get ready for the day. I usually go for coaching sessions and stuff. In between, what I do, see, part of my highest value is learning, teaching, coaching, inspiring, and traveling. So my goal is to basically do as much as I can relative to those highest value of mine. So 90% of my life is really about coaching, learning, traveling, teaching, and inspiring. And when I do that, that's kind of my life. So I do this, then I coach, then I learn. I learn something all the time. I'm studying all the time. This is what I'm really passionate about. And I coach, I train, I teach, I inspire others, which lead to another point. You see, in terms of enrolling clients, you know what's also critical, because we are coaches, right? So once I've got my exam and I'm now being a coach. So what does that mean? You know, I'm in service of others. And that was basically a tipping point for me where I shifted from having a coaching business to a coaching service. So from coaching business is about enrolling, making money, having targets and so forth, which is great. No problem with that. But I reached a plateau. I just couldn't figure out how can I actually break that plateau. And that plateau was for a purpose. And that purpose was me realizing, why am I doing this for? So that was a shift when I realized, actually, I'm into serving. So all I have to do is serve. So, and I do it all the time. I'm being coached all the time. So I'm going to the shop, like recently it happened. I go to the shop and the lady is packing the stuff and she's struggling. So I ask a question and says, hey, where would you put the groceries that would suit you best? And she thought about it for a second and she says, oh, I would maybe put it there. And I said, would you like to try it? And then she put it there and tries. Oh, it works. Thank you very much. There we go. And that's all the time at the gym, in traffic, wherever you name it. If I see an opportunity to actually ask a question, I will do it.
Yeah, we call that coaching as a way of life in business coaching, and that's how we train our coaches. And see, you are a beautiful testament and example of that. That's actually something that is just in your being. It's like you never take off the coach hat. You are always in that mode.
That's the idea. I mean, what else, right?
Yes.
Which on that note, which is quite important for, that's only my version, right? I'm not saying it's the best version. I'm not saying it's the way to go. No, it's just my way. And the idea would be for every coach to find their way. This is really the caveat of this whole journey, is to become one with the whole of who we are, which leads to another point. Part of my success as well is my ability to align spiritual body, mental body, and physical body. So mental and emotional. So when those three are aligned, life happens for me. Otherwise, it's always a pull. I used to be, I'm an A-type, quite a driver. So very physical and very mental, not so much emotional and no spiritual. For some reason, I left that aside for a while, even though I was very much spiritual. So from that experience, I realized my life was pulling me towards more spirituality, more mental ability or emotional ability. So when I actually rectify this and I actually make sure I'm very aligned, then I'm whole. So from being whole, I'm experience wholeness, and I provide wholeness to the world too, which is exactly what I find to be the hot spot or the sweet spot for me.
Yeah, it's we also call that in consciousness coaching transmission. You can only give to your client that which you embody. So if you want to give them wholeness, you gotta embody and
To being
embody
it.
that. Yeah, and I really want
Exactly.
to come out and acknowledge you for your journey and for how congruent everything is in your practice. It's like it's a great example of walking the talk and what is possible with coaching as a way of life. It's really inspiring.
My daily practice are really about. This is why I made my mind. I learn a lot, so I stimulate my mind, I stimulate my spirit, I stimulate my body, I stimulate my emotional connection. So that creates the alignment. So I have to do the work myself, because otherwise, if I don't follow my agenda, then I follow life agenda sometimes. And because my reality is a delayed manifestation to my conditioned self. So needless to say that it may find a way to to be off, to push me off course one way or another for me to align myself. So if I do the work already and I find that balance, while um, that's also Mark Steinberg and the comfort zone thing, which is a huge breakthrough for me. In fact, the comfort zone, because it's a thin line. It's quite a skill to actually be aligned while stretching yourself, such that you don't fall into the old behavior pattern that so you live a life informed by the past instead of being present here now, or living a life from a conditioned, conscious commitment to a future outcome. So that's where commitment comes handy.
Yeah, beautiful. So now, to make things real basic, let's say we have someone listening who is thinking about becoming a coach and is considering do the training with us or with someone else. What would be your number one advice to give to someone who is considering to become a coach? What do you want them to know?
They need to realize that that idea of becoming a coach is all they need. So the reason why is that idea. If they were not meant to be a coach, that idea would not exist. The idea would be, I want to be a golfer, I want to be a sport person, whatever idea people have. But if you have the idea, oh, I'm considering to be a coach, done. All you have to do now is step out of the way and just do it. But on that note as well, okay, that's me taking a risk here. But I'm going to say this. Not everything is meant to be, right? And this is usually where the identity get us. Because I am thinking, oh, I should be a coach. It would be nice to be a coach. And then, nah, I'd rather do this or rather do that, and it doesn't happen. Then, it's not meant to be. So that's a big trap. So that's number two. I want new coaches or potential people I want to do coaching to realize that actually the fact there's that idea, game over. That's it. The fact there's an idea, all you have to do now is put things in place, doing that, and you realize you actually can do it. Same with making money or building a successful business practice or having a healthy relationship with a loved one. All of the above, at the moment, is the idea. That's all it takes. It's basically the insight is there. All we have to do is enter that insight. And how we do that is by simply surrendering to any blockages or any resistance that may stand in my way. So it's not about fighting it. It's simply loving it. So, my identity now wants to sway me apart. Wonderful. Or, my identity resists it and I'm having a breakdown. Awesome. And the more we do that, the more we dissolve the resistance, and what remains is what is. And if the idea is, I want to become a coach, then what is I'm a coach.
Wow, that's a powerful closing statement for our talk. I know we could be talking for ages about all this. It's been really inspiring and valuable. Any last words from you? Anything I haven't asked you, but you really want to mention?
No, I mean, other than it's been a pleasure and a privilege to be a part of this platform. And whoever is going to watch it, it's going to be now as well. So even if they're watching it in a year from now or 6 months from now, guess what? It's going to be the same moment.
Exactly.
Are we ever experiencing anything which is not now? No. Meaning now is now. With that, I'm complete.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So today we had Eric, performance coach trained by Consciousness Coaching, and myself, Violetta, lead trainer at Creative Consciousness International. Thank you, Eric, so much for the insight. And yes, exactly. Hello from the now to anybody watching. To learn more about our coach training, go to our website, creativeconsciousness.com. There you find all the latest dates and info. And if you have any questions, please get in touch with us on social media or via the website. We will answer all your questions. Thank you for watching. And until next time, bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.